I woke up to a UPS shipped notification, and I was like, oh, I'll go down to the gate to get the package, but it turns out has already done that for me and piled all the other shit that I leave around the house on top. So for those of you keeping track at home, it is fucking hot in this car. You might ask, why do I have so many Keytars? It's absolutely because of this channel. But this particular one is because it was requested by 3 separate people. As you can tell, I'm a little bit under, like, enthusiastic right now. I ran out of Seroquel yesterday, which is a bad thing to do. So I had to take a half dose instead of a full dose. And to compensate for that, I had to take Ambien, because fucking up your sleep schedule and staying up all night can just tank your ability to function if you have bipolar disorder. I'm still slightly Ambien hungover, and I'm just gonna wait for that to end. I did buy Dutch yesterday and stick it in my car, or in my fridge. The reason I never posted the unboxing of my Unos 21 Keytar is because I was so tired at the time that it looked like I did not give a shit. I want to do a detailed individual review of each one of my Keytars at some point, so maybe that'll be future YouTube content. In theory, I still want to do lessons, but lessons are hard, and just complaining about Keytar features is easy. I got my meds. I'm not going to show you the other side because it's got all my identifying information on it. You'll be able to find my address and send me Keytars or dead bodies, and honestly, I have enough Keytars and I don't want more dead bodies. I'm running out of space. 60, so that's 1 month of 400 milligram Seroquel XR. And the cash price on this is $1,403.28. So here I am vlogging in my car. I'm sort of waking up. I have this much coffee in me. So I will go home now. I'll be right back. I'm gonna throw the box on the bed. You were supposed to stay on the pillow. You fucked up my whole shot. You're the cutest YouTube mascot, and nobody has a cuter YouTube mascot than you. But you're so bad at this. So here we have our box. We're just gonna be unboxing it over here because of this goddamn cat. Bubble wrap. Ooh, it's not heavy. I was expecting it to be heavier. Alright. Oh. There we go. Good. Good job, kitty. Thank you for getting off the bed. So here we have it. Time for more bubble wrap. Somebody went overboard with the packing tape. Oh, it's upside down. Okay. Come on, fuck you. Has MIDI out but no MIDI in. USB MIDI. Those of you who followed me on Twitter like 5 months ago saw the saga of me looking for my Vortex cable and then getting it and realizing it's just the same as my printer cable. I was like, has this been the same the whole time? And like 4 people tweeted at me and were like, yes. Oh, it does come with the strap. I had a strap just in case, but this guy threw the strap in. That's good of him. Oh, look, it's so little. What the fuck is D-beam? This is a good size. Is this my first no-neck Keytar? I thought of this. This is like a great idea for me. You have things I like and things I don't like that we're gonna catalog right here in a marker that you can read, because that is not legible. Cool. I should at least put on pants. I realized in the last video I was wearing no makeup, and I'm not like ashamed of wearing no makeup on YouTube, as you can tell by the fact that I'm on YouTube wearing no makeup, but I did like look at myself as I was editing. I'm like, you can't see my face. So we'll BRB, folks. Synth 1, Synth 2, Synth bass, violin, trombone, and jazz scat. Because, you know, when I've been playing the Keytar, I've always been like, you know what I need? Jazz scat. Fun fact, kitchen degreaser. So yeah, I did not buy this new, because you cannot buy the Lucina new. I mean, like, sometimes people have one, like, still in the box that they want $1,000 for. Let's be real. If you have $1,000 to spend on your Keytar, get a kind of junky Lucina, and then get a bunch of really good accessories for it. Where is my sustain button? What the fuck is V-Link? My eyeliner's not even. That's okay. So before I look up any manuals, we're gonna do what we traditionally do, which is where I just mess with stuff. Defaults to synth pad? No, it defaults to synth 1. Okay. Okay, so first things first, this is a confusing layout. So over here there is 6 buttons. Each button says like synth / pad. Comes up when you light this. So when we hit special tone, because I understand how special tone works, that's a little bit intuitive. Synth 1 is mono, synth 2 is poly. I'm kind of confused by why these are the special tones, like why were these chosen for a Keytar? Okay, and of course, get your organ. So this actually has an organ tone, which puts it ahead of the sonogenic. I don't know why I haven't, like, discussed this in a video, because I think I mentioned it several times, but it just doesn't come up. Like, it just gets edited out every time. If you take the sonogenic, you plug the 5-pin MIDI breakaway cable into this, and you use it for MIDI in. So you play the sounds of the sonogenic through a separate controller. Instead of having the 30 sounds that are on the sonogenic, it has 128 general MIDI tones, and most of the tones that are actually accessible through the sonogenic keyboard are not present. Why is it like that? Somebody explain that to me. So it does have organ tones in it, but you can't use them through the sonogenic itself. Somebody get back to that. Today we're doing the Lucina. So we've got an organ tone, which puts us ahead of the sonogenic. Strings. Wait, how is strings different from violin? The fuck is D-beam? I know I've heard the term before, but I don't remember what it is. Fun fact, fake fingernails make pitch bend harder. I'm gonna have to file that one down. I haven't tried that before. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other of these that I don't know how to get to. Is that... Nope. So this is kind of frustrating because this is not intuitive at all. Now I don't know how to turn this button off. Do you guys remember in the sonogenic video when I couldn't figure out how to turn jam mode off and I got frustrated? I'm experiencing that here. I'm sure this is a great synth. If you guys remember with the Edge video, there was a lot of, I could just press buttons and figure stuff out, so... Negative. Can't figure it out without the manual. And again, I'm sure that once I learn this, it's not going to be a big deal. A lot of people are very fond of this. So that's still volume. Oh, that's what D-beam does. How do you control it? Except how functional is that when you're playing? Like, I get that you can turn it off. Oh boy, whoever played this uses a shorter strap than I do. By a lot. There we go. If my hand's frequently in here, how am I going to get to the... I still can't tell how to get to these other sounds. Assignable, how do I assign shit? Do I plug this into my computer? I'm confused. We're gonna have to use the internet. It's a good size, though. Let's write some positives on this so that I don't feel like an asshole. I wonder if it saves your memory when you turn it off. We're gonna find out. good size and weight. Aesthetically speaking, it's fine. I know a lot of people who have these and like them, so like I feel hesitant to be like, oh, I don't like this. I mean, because a lot of it's personal preference. Just cannot figure this out. I like being a person who just can figure it out. We're gonna YouTube, but we're gonna Wikipedia some shit. Find the fucking internet. Good job. Good. I don't think there's enough sticker space on this either. That's my other crit. This is 88 pages long. What kind of quick guide is this? Is this the slow quick guide? See if I can figure it out faster than my internet can download it. I like that the D-beam can be turned on and off really well. It's one of the best parts of the Vortex 2 is that you can turn off tilt, because anything that's controlled by something other than a button or a knob, anything that you can accidentally do this or this to and fuck up your sound, needs to have a hardwired on-off button. We're gonna turn it like this so that you can watch it fucking load with me. I don't think D-beam has killed anybody. I'd look it up, but my internet goes at this speed, so... Where's my sustain? Where's my sustain button? That's not it. We've progressed. There's a white page now. Oh, okay, so there is more than 18 sounds. Alright, finally made it to pads. 14 tones in. Where's my sustain? I love On the Edge, I didn't appreciate it till now, the LCD that tells me what the sounds are instead of just a number. There's no aftertouch. Aftertouch. So there's 24, and they don't loop. So if I go down to 1, I can't press decrease to get to 24. That's annoying. Because if you can loop around, any given sound is only 12 clicks away. And then I have to go all the way back down to 1. I don't like that. If you preview... But are any of them Last Christmas by Wham? Where's my sustain? Owner's manual. We're gonna be here for a while while that downloads. So while we're waiting for that to load, let's see if there's a YouTube video on D-beam. Here's D-beam tutorial. So let's go to synth 1, but special synth 1. Ooh! The mod bar is almost always vibrato. We are still waiting. We're about a quarter of the way loaded on the actual manual. I do say I like where this neck is in terms of playing it sitting down versus playing it standing up. You've seen in my other videos where I play the Vortex frequently like this, because it just makes more sense to me that way. But this one does have a certain element of intuitiveness with this. So if you mostly play with a stand, but also want the option of Keytar, I can see this being a good one for you. Where's my fucking marker? I don't know if any of you know this, but buying a cheap ironing board is possibly the best keyboard stand you can get when you're on the go, because I can't find a keyboard stand that is cheaper or weighs less than an ironing board. What are special tones? These are 6 high-quality, very expressive tones that were conceded specifically for the Lucina. Oh, how do I assign stuff to stuff? Yeah, we're about halfway loaded on the manual. Where's my sustain? Can you please load enough to tell me where my sustain button is? Oh, okay, that's not good. I was getting all expressive with my hand here, and I hit a different patch. That's always what I've been hesitant about the Korg RK100S as well, because, there's a big touch ribbon here. Like, how sensitive is that? Ooh! There is, in fact, an alternate strap button placement. There we go. That's what felt weird. Okie dokie, it's been a couple hours. We're back here. I've made... Excuse you, SHS-10. I've made my list. Cool. I need to get better at pitch bend. Like, it's kind of pathetic that I have a Keytar channel, and yet I frequently don't use pitch bend to the extent that I should. I'm okay with it on wheels, it's just on ribbons that I get lost. A lot of the things on this side are just nitpicks. When I had problems with the Sonogenic, they were generally genuine design decisions that I did not understand. Whereas with this is overall a very well-designed Keytar, and that is part of the reason why it has such a high resale value so many years after its release. Internet, when was the Lucina released, Internet? Tell me. 2010. So, 9 years after the Lucina was released, it still has resale value. And it did originally cost, I think, like $800, and it's still getting about half of that, despite the presence of other Keytars in the scene. A lot of the stuff that I complained about initially does have an answer in the manual. Like when I did this and I pressed the wrong button, there is a lock button that enables really quickly that prevents you from doing that. I like the lock button. There's a lot of stuff that I thought were like design issues that Roland did think of and did work around. So a lot of the stuff where I was like, this is a bad decision, was sort of like acknowledged by them, and it has a workaround. It's not necessarily a workaround that I like, but they do acknowledge that it is... Do you mind? They do acknowledge that it is a thing people would want to do, unlike with fucking Sonogenic, where nobody in the world was willing to admit that nobody wanted jam mode, except for the people who didn't want jam mode, which was everybody. There is no aftertouch in the keys. There is aftertouch in the D-beam. A lot of functions were put into the D-beam. Your access to aftertouch in the D-beam, and also, the D-beam has a function, theremin mode. They don't call it theremin mode, but it is. That noise. It is always that noise. Why would you want to do that? I don't know, but I love it. I was complaining about how there's a lot of tones and you have to do a lot of clicking, which is still over here. You have to do a lot of clicking with no loop around, but you do have 12 favorite tones that you can set, so that if those are things you use frequently, that's great, and it is a maximum of 2 key presses to get to a favorite tone. So that's nice, it's easy to select. I like favorite tones. Did I not turn? I did not turn that off. I don't really like that I have to press this button over here and then remain holding shift and therefore have to reach over here, or to press shift here and then do that. But my only issue with the D-beam is that it is kind of awkwardly placed if you're also using the mod bar. So here we've got my organ. And that's great, except if I'm gonna... I'm playing over here with my mod bar, or my pitch strip, and then I want to go into D-beam. It's just kind of awkward, because you gotta loop your hand out of this little pocket you have. I'm not sold on the tiny pocket. I would prefer if this was just a neck where I can like go around at any angle, or even if I just had this open so that I'm not trapped in the tiny pocket. You can set the mod bar to hold, then you have sustain, which brings me to my first major negative. This has no dedicated sustain button. They want you to use a sustain pedal. How am I going to use a sustain pedal if I'm also running around the stage like an idiot? And why would I have a Keytar if I'm not running around the stage like an idiot? So there is no sustain, you have to sacrifice your mod bar. Which, honestly, I don't mind. There's also drum sounds on this, which is really cool. And when you're looping, it's really handy to have access to drum sounds. It's not a whiny little butt about rechargeable batteries. The manual says to use rechargeable batteries. I didn't, and it still turns on. The Edge will not turn on if you're using alkaline batteries. And I get that that's like some security thing, but also it felt very weirdly petty. Let's see, it's a good size and it's a good weight. But the keys are like more what you think of when you think of keyboard keys. The Lucina has like I want to call them normal keys, whereas the Vortex keys, I've mentioned it a couple times, are aggressively springy. Like every time I pick it up, I have a moment like, that is springy. Nice. I like where the volume control is. Again, if you do looping, you kind of need that. It's one of the things that the Sonogenic doesn't have that I'm very negative about. Why would you put a volume control in there if you can't use it while you're playing? Volume control, very important. I like where it is, but I wish that I could set it to other things too. And if I could also set that to cutoff or something, that'd be really cool. I can't set the pitch strip to something else. I can't control cutoff with the pitch strip. Basically, I always want access to controlling cutoff. You can set sort of cutoff with a series of key presses. I can. But that's not what I want to do with my cutoff. What I want to do with my cutoff is I want to go wow, 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 wow while moving this. But while we're on the subject of parameters, I can control all the parameters in this. If I want to set specialty parameters in the edge, I have to bust out my smartphone, sync the edge to my smartphone via Bluetooth, and then adjust it within my phone. It's a huge pain in the ass. I don't know where my phone is 20% of the time. And it's not charged another 10% of the time, so I can only adjust things in there like 70% of the time. And if there's a way to do that adjustment on board, please let me know in the comments. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, I was fully expecting this to feel like the little sister of the Edge. Like, it's just aimed at a more casual audience who isn't trying as hard to look cool. It's sort of aimed at, like, people who want a beginner synth, or people who have synths but want to move into Keytars and want something with onboard sounds. And I was expecting this to operate similarly to the AX Edge. I was expecting to be really familiar with how the mod bar and the pitch strip worked. And it's not the same. They're the same hardware, but it's integrated so differently in the AX Edge. On this, if the mod bar is set to mod, or to vibrato, it's vibrato on every instrument with the exceptions of the trombone and the violin, where with the exception of those, it just controls vibrato, like the mod wheel on that, or the mod strip on this, or the mod wheel on my AZ1. It just does that. And with the AX Edge, every sound, the mod bar does something different. It works similarly to how Aftertouch works on this guy, but Aftertouch on the AX Edge and the mod bar on the AX Edge do slightly different sounds on every single instrument. And that's very, very well integrated. And this is good hardware. This is a good setup to have your bar right there and your touch strip right there so you can access them really easily. And then I don't know what I'm going to be doing with D-Beam over here. But that works really well. But it's not as seamless and it's not as effortless as on the AX Edge. Which is good, because they had 7 years in between making this and making that to figure stuff out, and they did. As opposed to, like, let's go 1989, 2019, 99, 09, 19. Yamaha had 30 years to make the SHS-10, but better. And they fucked it up. They had 7 years to go between this and this. And they did a damn good job. The manual gets a little bit dismissive of MIDI, and they're like, if you're just a casual player, you don't need to know how MIDI works. Everybody needs to know how MIDI works. And then this is kind of half nitpick and half the exact same thing I got on the Sonogenics Case 4. Why does V-Link have its own designated button? We only have like 15 buttons on this whole thing. Let's see, 6, 23 buttons. That's not a lot. Why is one of them V-Link? V-Link is a way that you can control you can play the keyboard but still control video via MIDI, and it's very cool. But was it just a thing that they were convinced was going to take off to the point where they gave it its own designated button? And I mean, unlike with the Sonogenic, at least this button does serve other purposes when you're controlling parameters, when you're changing the settings in this. But also, why does it have its own designated button? If you only have 22 buttons, why is one of them something that is so unimportant to you that it's at the last page of your manual? Why are we like this? Even though it looks like I have a lot more on the negative side than the positive side, the positives of this are so good. It's shorter than the Vortex. It's a really small, it's a really lightweight Keytar. I just have this plugged into an amp. I didn't need to mess with MIDI controllers like I did in my last video where everything was a mess. This is effectively the Vortex Wireless 2, but with an onboard synth and with a different shape. And without aftertouch, but with good old D-beam. And I gotta say the D-beam is also nice in that it's kind of hard for me to accidentally hit. Especially with this little, as long as I keep my hand in the pitch bend cubby. Ow. That was a bad decision. That's not where you really want the Vortex Wireless 2, but you wish it had an onboard synth. This is probably a good option. But also, if you really want the Lucina, but wish you had a cheaper option, you can just get the Wireless 2. They're about the same weight, they're the same key size, and they have similar controls. You're trading out Aftertouch for D-beam. You don't look like an idiot when you're playing D-beam at all. I feel like this is much more comparable level-wise. I don't know how to say, like, quality-wise, because it's not really quality-wise. But this feels a lot more like the Vortex Wireless 2 than it does like the AX Edge. Although I have not yet tried. Give me one moment. We're gonna do the thing. Somebody get me a 5-pin MIDI cable. Midnight, fetch the MIDI cable! Why are the 5-pin ports on the AX Edge upside down? How did we get there? Who did that? How did nobody catch it? So, let's see how this feels. Okay, so maybe what it is I just like the sounds on the AX Edge better. I mean, no, I definitely like the sounds on the AX Edge better. With the exception of maybe the violin sound. I don't really get why the sounds on this were chosen. I am making it more twisted. Why the sounds that they chose to put on this, I'm still making it more twisted, are the sounds that they, why are the special tones the ones that are the special tones? Right, I'm on MIDI. Never mind. Okay, so the mod bar is actually really sensitive, which I wasn't getting the feeling of from the sounds on this, but I think the mod bar on the... Yeah, the mod bar is... The mod bar is more sensitive on that, but I was feeling, when I was playing the sounds on this, just through this, I was feeling like they weren't, like the mod bar was just an on-off thing. But it's not really. I felt like this was going to be the AX Edge, but with less features. But what it's sort of showing as being is like the AX Edge with fewer and slightly inferior features. But currently this is half the cost of the AX Edge. And the sound integration, one of the major advantages of purchasing a Keytar with the sounds in it, is that you have given the manufacturer the opportunity to integrate the sounds very effectively. It feels like it's just not grown up yet. And that's probably because I owned the AX Edge first. That instead of the AX Edge feeling like the grown-up version of previous Roland synths, the Lucina feels like a slightly inferior version. But it's absolutely a good Keytar. When I eventually remake the How to Buy a Keytar for a Beginner, I'm probably going to recommend this one over the Korg RK100S I probably would like the RK100S, but the resale price is ridiculous. Why would you spend $1,000 on the Korg RK100S when you can spend $1,000 on the AX Edge? One more thing, and this one's kind of a minor thing. There is no wireless MIDI. You can do USB MIDI. Ooh. Ooh. Hang on a second. Where is my dongle? Midnight, did you eat my dongle? There it is. Dongle. With one of these things that was like 20 bucky. Yeah! It auto-assigns D-Beam to its aftertouch setting. Okay, so this does seamlessly integrate with GarageBand for iPad, and honestly, I've reached the point where, having used several different things, go on eBay, buy any iPad that can run iOS 12, and just get GarageBand. GarageBand for iPad is probably the least expensive MIDI soundbox that I can think of. Maybe I'll do a whole video where I just review that. Maybe that'd be fun. Who knows? I don't know what's fun. I got distracted and now I need to make a summary. So let's try that one more time. Because this is a portable synth that has 5-pin and USB MIDI, it can do effectively everything that the Alesis Vortex Wireless 2 can do, plus having onboard sounds. It doesn't have aftertouch integrated into the keys, so you do have to use D-Beam, and it is not as comfortable for me to control in this little cubby and then get out of there and do D-Beam as it is for me on the Vortex to use this hand that's already on the keys to control aftertouch. So if you're looking for a Keytar that is like the Wireless 2, but also has onboard sounds, this is probably the closest thing I've found. I don't know if you know this, but I own a lot of Keytars. The keybed is really nice. I know that mine's used and it doesn't have a brand new keybed, but it is quite nice. I'm not playing it going, oh, this feels like an old keybed, or this feels aggressively springy. A lot of the things that I initially thought I wouldn't like, the company had thought of and put a workaround in. It's like, oh, these are in a bad spot here because I'll press them. It's like, cool, so press the don't press the buttons button. I like the weight of it. I like the looks of it, despite not liking how it feels to have my hand in the cubby. I'm not sold on the cubby. But it is, all in all, a very good Keytar. If you can get this, if you're looking for a Keytar with a synth, and so you were looking towards going for the Sonogenic, this is being sold on eBay in a lot of cases for like just $100 more, and it's massively superior to the Sonogenic. Shout out to the guy on Reverb who was willing to mail this to me even though he said for local pickup only. This is what I'm doing with it. I'm just holding it up while I talk. So everybody tell me, what Keytars do you want me to review next? I gotta say one more thing though, and that is that I have been taking this one into Starbucks to write music with, because it's nice and small. It's really a bummer that you can't see the hooks that hang these up, because I have this really quite skilled way of getting these down. Just size-wise, like, this is smaller. The Lucina is smaller. It has the same number of keys. It's got the same number of keys, and it's smaller than the Sonogenic. The more I compare this to the Sonogenic, the more I like this Keytar. How is the Sonogenic so bad when we have Keytars made 10 years earlier almost that don't have those? How did we get to this? Anyway, so this is probably going to be my new going into coffee shops and writing music with headphones on and looking like a weird, I mean, I don't know, I look like a kid in a band. It's the hair. I know I'm feeling really unenthusiastic about it, but I assure you I am excited. I'm just also very tired. So I'm gonna go get Starbucks, and I'm gonna make a video about this, because people specifically asked me to review this one, and honestly, if you're going, I don't know what I want to buy. Come on, bud. I don't know what I want to buy. This is definitely... Why am I on jazz scat? Okay. But one more thing. Why is it that every time I turn this off and turn it back on, I have to reset this to sustain? Why did you guys assume that nobody wanted sustain? Sustain is so important as a guitarist. Anyway, this is already going to be a bitch to edit, and I should probably stop rambling about random disconnected things. But one of these days I'll be able to film a Keytar video without taking every Keytar off the walls. It's a really good starter Keytar, as long as you like the looks of it, because remember, the number one rule about Keytars is don't get a Keytar that looks stupid and that you don't like how it plays. Because then you just won't want to be part of the Keytar world. And you should be part of the Keytar world.